First, you're going to want to preheat your oven to 300. And now this recipe is pretty simple. All you need is cream cheese, the bricks, not the whipped kind. You need eggs, salt, cream of tartar. You don't need to use cream of tartar. You can use baking soda or baking powder, but I find that this helps the texture more. You need 2 bowls, a mixer, a plastic spatula, 1/8 of a teaspoon, and I use a 1/3 cup to measure everything out. You're also going to need baking sheets with parchment paper, and you're going to want to spray Pam or some kind of oil on top of it to stop them from sticking. And then this is the batch I already made. This is how they turn out. I make them about the size of a hamburger roll, and they hold together pretty well. They're flexible, they keep their shape, they don't fall apart when you try to eat them, and they overall they're a great substitute for bread. The entire batch, it makes about 12 rolls with the way I measure it out, and each roll has less than half a carb. Now, the first step is to take your eggs, and in your 2 bowls, you want to separate your eggs. You don't need an egg separator, you can do it with just the shell. Crack your egg on the counter. Take the area where it's cracked and slowly peel it open. Now what you're going to do is go back and forth here, and you're going to catch the yolk a couple times in the shell, and as you do that, the whites will fall into the bowl. And you just take your egg yolk and put it into a separate bowl. Okay, now once you have your 3 eggs separated, a very important step is to definitely make sure you completely separate the whites from the yolks. Any yolk in here is going to completely ruin the recipe because the density of the yolk takes away from making the whites really super fluffy. What you need to do now is take your beater, and you're going to want to start beating the egg whites on high, and they're going to get a little bit frothy. Okay, so right now you have this nice texture, it's just a little bit bubbly. What you want to do next is take your, this is what I do. I take my cream of tartar, measure it out on your 1/8 of a teaspoon here, and add it to the egg whites. Now you're going to want to beat this together until it's very, very, very stiff, and it's going to look almost like fluff. This is going to take a minute or 2. Now, as you can see, the egg whites are quadrupled in size, and they're very stiff and fluffy. And if you're not sure if they're the right consistency, what you can do is tip the bowl right over. See, they're not moving. If they don't move when you tip the bowl over, you got it right. Now we're going to set those to the side, and we're going to move on to the egg yolks. You take your cream cheese, and you're going to want 3 ounces of your brick of cream cheese. So you got your cream cheese. You don't have to worry so much about having any whites on your beater. You can go ahead and take your beater and put it right in to the egg yolks and the cream cheese and beat it until it's mixed up a little bit. Okay, so you got it kind of mixed in there a little bit, still pretty chunky. You're going to want to take your 1/8 teaspoon again, and you're going to want to add your salt to it. And now you're going to beat this until it kind of has the consistency of like a cake batter. It's going to take a minute or 2. Okay, so now you're going to want to set your beaters to the side because you're not going to use them anymore. You can see this is nice and, don't mind the size, it doesn't really matter. It's nice, it's like cake battery and smooth. At this stage, once it's all mixed together with the yolk and the cheese and the salt, you can go ahead and add other things if you want to, like garlic powder or onion powder, cayenne pepper. You can add Splenda and mix it right in with the blender, and it'll add, a little kick to it or a little sweet to it, and then you can, have something a little bit different. So now you're going to take your plastic spatula, You're gonna go back on over here to the egg whites. Now the egg whites are still nice and frothy. You don't want to use your beater on this section because it'll ruin that fluff that you have going on. You're gonna want to take your plastic spatula. You're gonna want to get all that egg yolk mixture on top of the whites. You're going to gently fold the yolk mixture into the whites, and you want to do it very slowly and carefully because you don't want to ruin that fluffy consistency that you have. The important part is here, if you want to make like a double batch, you're going to have to do it separately because you only want to make as much as you can fit onto your cookie sheets each time because they take about 40 minutes to cook. And if you let it sit on the counter and wait to put more in the oven, this is going to get runny and it's not going to have the consistency that you want. So just make as much as you can fit in your oven at one time. And if you want to make more afterwards, make sure you clean this bowl out. Make sure you clean your beaters because if you get this leftover eggy mixture from mixing your yolk and then you try to fluff your whites, it's not going to work. Take a little pan. These sheets have already been used. It doesn't really matter. They'll hold up fine. I use this 1/3 cup because it makes a nice sized roll. It's not too big, not too small. And you just fill it right up and you put it onto the tray. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure to take the bottom like this and just smooth it out a little bit and make a nice circle because this is going to cook and stay roughly around the shape that you put it in as. It's not going to be much thicker than that. It's not going to spread out. So you're going to want to make sure it's a reasonable size and not too thick in the middle because then the middle won't cook along with the rest of it and it'll be soggy in the middle. It looks like we have enough for maybe one more. That'll give us 11. Use the spatula to get the rest out onto the... There was a little wrinkle in the paper there, so that one's going to turn out a little funky. But the rest look fine. We're going to go ahead and set them in our preheated oven, and we're going to set the timer for 40 minutes. Watch them. Every oven's different. Sometimes it's only 30 minutes, sometimes it's 35, sometimes it's 45. Put them in there. Not like that. Yeah. A little more gracefully than I did, probably. And let them cook. Now, while those other ones are still cooking, I'm going to show you what I do with the ones that are already done. I use a sandwich baggie and I put the completely cooled rolls 4 into a bag. And these will last about a week. And you can use them for whatever you want. You can get sandwiches, hot dogs, hamburgers. Okay, so these are about done. I'm going to go ahead and take them out. It looks like our one little roll didn't really make it very well because of that crease we had in the paper. That's fine. You can actually save these and just once they're cooled down, you can crumble them into breadcrumbs. Okay, so these aren't really that hot. You can just kind of grab them, pick them right up, and put them onto the cooling rack. I mean, safety first, obviously, if you feel that you need it, but I've done it enough that I don't really find myself too concerned. And I'll have this nice brown color to them. You don't want to take them out too early or else the middles will be kind of soggy and wet. You just let them sit on the rack for a few minutes. They'll cool right down really quick and then you're done. Okay, so this is the end result after baking all day. I've got about 50 rolls and that'll last about a week for one person depending on how much you eat. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching.